Hey, it's Enrico Pallazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Pallazzo!
What is up, everybody? Welcome in Pallazzo Podcast, 2Ls, 2Zs. Your boy Mike Virginia here for a Q&A fantasy baseball. Appreciate y'all guys in the live chat here. Looks like we got Frank in the house. It's your favorite shirt wearing Frank is in the house. Frank, I have to laugh. I traded for a suspended Emmanuel Clase and an injured Josh Hader. Oof, that hurts, Frank. Sorry about that, buddy. For those of you guys watching, welcome in. If you guys got questions, feel free to drop them in the live chat. Charles says hello. What's up, Charles? Let me get in here real quick. I gotta promote on the Twitter. Hope you guys have all had a good couple of days here, off to a good week with the fantasy baseball squads. I got about it's my third to last show before I'm out for the rest of the fantasy baseball season here, guys. So let's see here. Look, I'm watching myself on Twitter now. This is cool. All right. Thank you guys for the patience. Appreciate it. Let's get into some questions. If you guys could do me a favor and retweet the live chat on my Twitter, that'd be great. EA All Day says, what's up, bro? Hope you're enjoying the last days of DMV summer. Hell no, EA All Day. I hate it. I am not a fan of summer. It's the worst season in the world. Give me winter, spring, fall, cooler months, especially when you walk outside and you're immediately sweating. I don't know how anybody enjoys that. Crazy to me. So summer sucks. It's the worst season by far. I don't care where you live. Chad, don't look now, but Yu Darvish might be back at 37. I think a lot of people had asked me that this morning too, about him, and I think he can be useful. I think he can be useful in some starts, but he is not somebody I'd recommend for season long. Because he has had a couple blow-up starts since he's been back. So, I mean, there's that. And he's also, 38, 39, close to 40. So how many good starts does he have left in the tank is the question that I would ask. So we got 83 people watching right now. If you guys got questions on your fantasy baseball teams, let me know. Drop them in the live chat. That's what today's show is all about. We'll be back on Fridays. Friday, me, Gove, and Britton. And then one more for the fabulous waiver wire show on Sunday. So 1 p.m. Eastern. Charles wants to know, what do you think of Javier's first game back from Tommy John? Christian Javier, is that who we're talking about? Astros guy. Not a really big fan of him. Same thing like you. I think he can be useful in some starts. Not somebody I'm going out and rostering but the deepest of leagues. So, yeah, I mean, if you play in a 14 team plus, I think he should be owned just because of the team context. But yeah, EA All Day says, thoughts on Chase Burns' innings limit situation. You think he gets a full workload over the next few starts? I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you EA All Day. I'm not dropping him yet until we see that. I think if Cincinnati will continue to fall out of the race there for the wild card, then yeah, I could see him getting his limits limited. They did say that they were going to have to, quote unquote, get creative. So, I think even with the limited starts, he's been striking out like 10 guys a game. So even if he gets only, 3 or 4, you're still getting probably 5 to 7, maybe 8 Ks, something like that. So if he goes 3 or 4 innings, so I think, at the long story short here, I think it would be a hold for me until we find out more here. EA All Day. Dave White also wants to know, are you holding Chase Burns? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Especially in redraft, and dynasty especially, but redraft, I'm holding him until we see how this shakes out. So he's been too good to cut. I know somebody had asked a question if they should cut Chase Burns. And for me, I was never a fan of cutting him at all, just simply because he had 3 straight starts with 10 Ks. You find ratios somewhere else. We talk about it all the time. With Chandler Simpson, he gives you the stolen bases. You just find everything else somewhere else. And that's what Chase Burns is from the starting pitching department. I know he was getting wrecked a little bit there with the ERA and the whip, but Ks were chef's kiss. And these days it's hard to find guys that can give you reliable double-digit Ks. So Chase Burns needs to be owned until further notice, and then we go from there. Let's see. Hope you didn't cut Vest from Star Platinum. Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to end up sharing those duties. We said it like a couple weeks back too. I think you and I were both on the same boat here, Star. That Vest has the superior stuff to Finnegan. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Finnegan actually ended up taking that spot back from Finnegan and taking it over full time. But yeah, I still have. I don't actually. I think I cut him in one league because I was deep at closer, but I think I own him in another. Is Bo Bichette a sell in Dynasty? Is the resurgence purely contract year magic? I don't know, man. This is a good one because I was out on Bo Bichette to start the season, and rightfully so. I know Dave McDonald did a podcast the other day when he was talking about changing your tune on him. There's a lot of people who are out on Bo Bichette. I know a majority of people were in on him as a buy low. I was out simply because he had too many injuries. The quads, the Achilles, the calf. He wasn't running anymore. He wasn't pulling the ball anymore. But my mind has changed on him. Will I still be out on him next year? Yep. Because his price is going to be too high for me, and I'm not willing to pay that. So I think Bo Bichette's a fine player. That's not to say that I'm not admitting that I was wrong. Bo Bichette is a guy that has had a phenomenal season this year. I just think his price tag is going to be too high for me next year. Now, if his price tag remained the same as it was this year, then yeah, maybe I would buy him. But now, no. If you're selling him in Dynasty, I would love to see what you could get for him, though, Chad. I'd be interested to know that. That's a great question, and what kind of return he'd get for him. So, and obviously, I'm not about trading him just to trade him. Hopefully, you're addressing a need, maybe getting younger, maybe you're getting a package deal, whatever it may be. So. Uncle Ted says Abreu or Souza. I think it's Abreu here. Souza has looked good. I know he came in, but Abreu was out that game. They weren't throwing him. I think they were resting him. I think they like Abreu in the 9th or the 8th, though. So it wouldn't surprise me if he still stayed in that position and Souza got some saved looks. I think it'll be matchup dependent. If I'm not mistaken, I think Souza's a lefty. So, but if I had to pick one of these in this bullpen, I'm going to Abreu. He's got the superior stuff. He's the right-hander. I think this is the guy to own. So if you can afford to keep or roster both Abreu and Souza, I think that'd be the smart move to see how it shakes out. But it would not surprise me at all to see this be matchup based. And, again, depending on who's coming up in the 9th when they're projecting that out. Yeah, it's a good point. Uncle Ted, he says Hader was a lefty. True, but Hader and Souza are not the same player. So I think ideally they'll play the matchups. And it could be a nightmare, but if I had to guess, I'm going to say Abreu here. Yui says drop Stowers for Marcy for stolen base help. Oh man, I'm not dropping Kyle Stowers, dude. I can't do that. I would try to find a way to get Jacob Marcy though on your team for stolen bases and for power. He's been doing everything. I think he does hit. I think I saw him sit against a couple lefties late last week. So I think Stowers. Yeah, his power is just too good, man. Hitting in the middle of that order, he's had such a good season. There's no way I can drop Stowers for him, especially with the limited sample size that we've seen from Jacob Marcy, and then the full season that we've seen from Kyle Stowers. There's just no way you can drop Stowers right now. I'm not saying Marcy's going to fall off. I think he will regress a little, but I'd find somebody else to drop. So. And he owes intel when Basayo comes up. You think not until rosters expand? I think he comes up August 15th or shortly after that. I wouldn't be surprised if he came up on a Monday, start the week, whatever it may be. The problem is I think it's going to be one of those situations where kind of like what they did with Kjerstad, that he's kind of in and out of the lineup a lot. It's going to be frustrating for fantasy managers. I did take a spec ad on him earlier in the week. And I don't have NA spots in this league. It's my home league. And I'm thinking that because of catcher first base eligibility, which is nice, I think he can get called up shortly after that August 15th timeframe. They need him and Dylan Beavers. I think those are the guys that'll probably end up coming up. Beavers will patrol in the outfield there, get his beak wet. Same thing with Basayo. How much they play is going to be remain to be seen. But I think when that does happen, Beavers and Basayo both get called up. I think they both deserve to be on somebody's roster. So if you guys didn't hear, Chad's talking about it here. Are you ready for the lean, mean Nolan McLean era? Yeah, I am. He gets to start Saturday. Looks pretty good in the minors so far. I think he needs to be owned. So if you need starting pitching help, I would go get Nolan McLean for sure. He's one of the Mets' best. I think he is actually the Mets' best pitching prospect. So go out and get Nolan McLean if you need help in the starting pitching department. I would not expect like a Jacob Mizorowski type debut or season, or even Chase Burns. If we're thinking that's going to be another one of those guys, I think we're going to be sorely mistaken. Not to mention too that the Mets need to continue to hit. They have not been a good hitting team in the second half, so they need something to shake this funk that they're in, especially Lindor, who's been downright terrible in the second half. So hopefully he gets his head out of his ass. But McLean's got good K upside. He's got a filthy fastball and slider. So I think I think he needs to be owned at this point. So especially in 12 team or deeper, 12 anything shallower than that, depending on how deep your rosters are, I think you can take a chance on him. Uncle Ted says here, Souza has 4 saves already. Abreu has 0. Okay. Well, again, just because that's the case doesn't mean that's going to be the pecking order moving forward. Like I said, if I had to bet, and I'm not saying you're wrong and either with having Souza, I think for me though, Abreu is the guy that has closer stuff, elite fastball. He's been right behind Hader in the 8th every single game that they've played in, and Hader's gotten that save. It's been Abreu to bridge that gap. It makes sense for Abreu to get that, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they played the matchups either. So Dave says, can you rank these pitchers in points? Redraft. Thanks. Senga, Ranger, Suarez, Zebby Matthews, and Sandy Alcantara. I will go Senga, Ranger. Actually, in the order you have them, I'm out on Sandy Alcantara. I think he can be used like you, Darvish. I think he can be useful in certain starts, but he's been too inconsistent for me to roster. I like what I've seen from Zebby. I know he got touched up a little bit, but he still had 7 strikeouts in his last outing. Ranger Suarez, team context. Same thing with Kodai Senga. I like their teams better. Those first two guys in the first half of your question there, Dave, are going to have plenty of run support because their teams are better. Zebby, Twins depleted, and Sandy Alcantara too. Marlins have been good, but again, I can't trust Sandy right now. So I would rank them in the order that you have them. Yui says, other than Stowers, the options are Ward, Herrera, or Buxton. If you need stolen bases, and it depends on who your catcher is, I'd be fine with dropping Herrera. I can't drop Taylor Ward. There's just no way in hell. He's had such a good season. Such a good season. He needs to be universally owned at this point. Buxton, same thing. Can't drop him. I'd go Herrera if you play in a 1-catcher league. I don't think there's much need to add a guy in if you already have a decent catcher there. Hurston Waldrop, yeah, he's looked good too. I need to see it one more time here, Uncle Ted. He's looked decent though. What does McLean have to do with their hitting? I don't understand the question. Sorry. Let me know what you mean there, bud. Jonah Tong is the Mets' best pitching prospect. Should have been AAA earlier this season and up in the majors now. Yeah, well, who knows? We might see him still. Yeah, Tong. Okay. I'm debating who to add in Houston is all. Okay. I would add Abreu. That's just me. But I get it if you want to add Souza too. If Abreu was picked up, I don't mind taking a spec ad on Souza and see if he maybe gets a couple saves, or maybe I think the likely scenario is they play matchups, but Abreu likely getting majority of the chances. William Contreras, a catcher. Well, this is tough. Yeah, I'm fine with dropping Herrera then. That's fine. For Marcy, if you need stolen bases. 10-team head-to-head leagues, Sosa a hold. Here's the thing, Charles, and I will say this with every question that comes in like this, no matter who the person is. It depends on who you're dropping him for or who you're trying to swap him out for. In a 10-team league, I would assume that there's probably a good amount of people out there that you can mix and match here. So I think if you dropped Sosa, I don't think anybody's going to be rushing to add him. So if you're just looking for a ride the wave type bat, I think adding or holding Sosa makes sense. White Sox have been a better team in the second half. They're not the pushover they were in the beginning of the season. So But I would be interested to know who else is out there, Charles. You say Stanton, maybe. Okay. Yeah, I think I'd probably rather prefer Stanton, honestly. But I know he's been sitting a lot, to maybe trying to keep him fresh. I just think the ceiling's higher and the power's higher there for Stanton. But Sosa's been hot, so I think ideally what you can do with this spot here, Charles, and maybe if you can stream the position and just ride the wave and just, mix and match whoever's getting hot, maybe look at that Ernie Clement, see if he's out there. Contreras has been great since the All-Star break finally coming back around. Agreed, EA all day. I agree with that. I want to go back to this question real quick. What does McLean have to do with their hitting? He doesn't. I'm saying in terms of the run support that they're getting, you might not be in line for a win, especially if they're not letting him go deep into games. I think this is what you mean when I brought this up. If you play in a wins league, if they're not letting him go deep in the games, and if the Mets aren't hitting, that poses an issue. But at the same time, too, quality start, same thing. It's going to be dependent on that. We'll see. Thanks for the question there, Dr. Dami. I don't know how to say the last name. All right, we got 188 people watching. If you got questions, drop them in the live chat. Happy to help. Another guy that, here we go, from Dave on Twitter wants to know Waldron or McLean. I'd take a chance on McLean. I think the Mets are packing it in. I'd like Waldron. I know who you meant with Waldrop, not Waldron. I get it. I need to see it one more time from Waldrop. I know he's looked better recently as well. I think I'd go McLean here, though. I just think the ceiling's higher. Bit of a big picture question. What do you think is your biggest takeaway this year that you're going into draft next season? That's a great question, EA all day. Let me think about it. You put me on the spot here. I think if I had to put one thing just off my hip here, I probably would be, I need to be more patient with guys. I know that's really hard for a lot of us. I know you guys have always asked me, is it time to cut so-and-so player? I need to take my own advice with that, that advice. Because again, especially with rookies too, they come up and they struggle and then they start hitting, like i.e. Nick Kurtz. I didn't drop Nick Kurtz anywhere that I had him, but I think with like Vinny Pasquantino, right? Decent this year. I think he's probably been right about where his ADP was at, but it took such a long time for him to get going. And I cut him in one league, a shallower format, but and I wish I didn't. So probably that EA all day. And another thing that I've learned, and not really learned, but something that I've always kind of stuck to my guns on, is I don't draft starting pitcher early. Like I'll never draft Paul Skeens. Will never be on any of my fantasy teams ever. I don't believe in taking a pitcher first round. I don't care what format it is. It's just the position is too volatile for me, and I'd rather just have an elite back-to-back bats. And then closers, I'm never, look what happened to Emmanuel Clase. Look what happened to Josh Hader. Danny Valencia came out of nowhere. Cade Smith came out of nowhere. There's been plenty of closers that you can pick up off the waiver wire. Now, if you play in a draft and hold, that makes a little bit more sense. I play in head-to-head categories. I play in points leagues and daily moves, not weekly. So I always wait on closer. This year I did take a little bit of a spill and went into grab Clase, Hader, those types. And I wish I didn't. So I think next year I'll be more patient on closers. Not in every league. A couple leagues I did that in. So I probably won't be drafting much of the top tier closers, the first third. I'll probably be more in that middle of the pack type guy. Carlos Estevez was a guy that I was in on, and I got super late in drafts, and I'm very happy with that. And that's what I mean. And he's one of the best closers in baseball. I know he took the loss today, but got 20 plus saves already. So for a Kansas City Royals team. So I think you can find that guys like that. And I think I'd rather address hitting. Hitting's tough. And same thing with starting pitching, but there's been a lot of guys that have come out too that have done just fine. So thanks for the question, EA all day. I think it was a great question. I appreciate that. Bizarriza Jizza, Marcy, Luke Keishel, Azuna, choose 2 rest of season 10 team cats redraft. I will go Keishel and Marcy. I know that's really tough here, but in 10-team cats, you could probably dump Ozuna there. Marcy and Keishel have been hot. Ozuna and that Braves offense just looks bad. Here's the thing. If he starts turning it around, like, I don't know if we're going to see the Ozuna of old. So I'm fine with cutting him for those two guys. Muncie side is, yeah, man. I know he got scratched. I didn't see what it was for. That sucks. Side soreness is never good. Never good. Wouldn't be surprised if you hit the IL. Charles says not being patient with players is my issue. It's everybody's, man. Good point, Uncle Ted. You wouldn't draft guys for steals. Why saves? Totally get that, bro. I'm with you. Drop Eugenio Suarez, Buxton, CJ Abrams, Duran, or Arise for any of Vaughn, Montgomery, Profar, Linsosa, Story, or Collins in a 10-team head-to-head points. Definitely not dropping Eugenio Suarez or Buxton or Abrams or Duran. If you are fine on batting average, I can see maybe cutting Arise for a Vaughn, Montgomery, Story, or Collins. I'm out on Linsosa. I'm out on Profar. Montgomery seems like a sell high for me too. I love him so much. I know he's been on fire. It's hard to leave even him and Vaughn on the waiver wire, but I'd probably cut Arise for like a Collins or Story. I think that'd be my vote there, Yui. Collins for me. I mean, I want every piece of that Brewers. I made a tweet earlier. I want every piece of that Brewers lineup. Sal Frelick, Isaac Collins, both of them just look great. Believe Sal scored 3 runs with a stolen base, couple hits in today's game. Bat and leadoff for the Brewers is money. So if Sal Frelick is out there, I love him. I know he was batting a little lower in the lineup because he was they were facing a lefty and he's coming off an injury. But if Sal Frelick, I believe his roster percentage is only in the 30s. It's not going to offer much pop. I know he went yaya off Paul Skeens, but man, I love Sal Frelick and I love Isaac Collins moving forward rest of season. If they're out there, I would try to find a way to get them on your team. CJ Kafis is super interesting. Yeah, I've been keep my eye on him too, Ted. Business saying Arise for Vaughn. Yeah, I just think Vaughn's going to turn back into a pumpkin, dude. It's a cool story. Don't get me wrong. And maybe he's maybe this continues. I just think the regression monster is going to be coming for him. He's not going to be this good. I still think he can be serviceable, but I'd rather have Story and Collins over him. Asking to drop any of those players for Sosa sacrilege. Yeah, I get it. Some of those guys, I mean, like I'm saying, like Luis Arise is basically the Chandler Simpson, but just batting average. He doesn't really offer much. Maybe scoring some runs too in that lineup, but I could see maybe dropping Arise. The rest of those guys you have to hold. Manzardo been hitting lots of Ks. Yeah, he's on fire, man. If you play in points leagues and you're getting negative points for Ks, I could understand not being in on him, which is why Ellie falls so far in ESPN leagues, apparently, because ESPN's standard, I believe, is points, and he gets docked for strikeouts. So, but yeah, Manzaro's got 3 home runs over the last going into today over the last 2 games. So the power's been picking up. Has he arrived? I don't know. He's been hitting 361 over the last month with 6 home runs and 16 RBIs. So only 17% roster. I'm down with taking a chance on him. August 15th is the day. Save your fab. Yep. I think this is the day we probably see I don't know if it'll be the 15th. I think it'll be shortly after that. I think you'll see a Samuel Basayo. I think you'll see a Dylan Beavers, maybe a Bubba Chandler. That'd be really, really cool. Bubba Chandler also has not looked good in AAA, guys. Like, I know a lot of people want to see him, and he had that quote that it was frustrating, but he hasn't looked good. I mean, he didn't look good, or he looked good, then he didn't look good. Then he looked good, and now he's back to not looking good again. So he's getting hit hard. So they're not going to bring him up just to bring him up. I read an article the other day about the GM saying, there's a lot of guys they view as a potential for their rotation there, and Bubba Chandler is going to be one of those guys that unless he proves it to them, which he did say in the quote, he needs to prove it to us. If he's not pitching well, I don't see him up. So maybe when rosters expand in September, but he's a guy that I might target next year in drafts. And Dynasty, you're holding. 12-team OPS head-to-head cats. Would you drop Simpson for Marcy if Simpson is my only major steal threat besides Bobby and Gunner? Kind of hard trade-off between OPS and steals. I'm fine with that. I'd rather have Jacob Marcion, honestly, because I think he offers more from the RBI and power department and still chips in on the steals aspect of it. Just note that he might sit against some steals, sit against some lefties. So that would be my vote there. I would go Jacob Marcy. It's not particularly close. But Simpson for me is, I think, the more superior runner and base stealer. So if you're really desperate for steals, I would hold Simpson. But if you can trade some of the speed for a little bit of power and speed with Jacob Marcy, I think that makes sense. Joey Ortiz, not terrible. I've never been a Joey Ortiz guy, man. Even when he's with the O's. He's not terrible. He's good. I would say good defender in the at shortstop, hitting in the bottom of the lineup there. The Brewers, not really prime real estate. Not really prime real estate hitting at bottom of anybody's order, but I get it. Drop a rise for Xavier Edwards. I don't mind that either. Good batting average guy with Xavier Edwards, and maybe a little bit more pop than a rise gives you. So I just think Xavier gives you a little bit more from a steals perspective, even though he has not been running like he was last year. Reds 4-0 over Philly in the 7th inning. There you go. Philly for me is kind of a weird team, man. I don't know. I can't figure them out. Kyle Harrison dealing. I've seen that. It's Pablo Lopez or Kyle Bradish still worth holding on to? Not Bradish. To be 100% honest here, dude, I don't know if either one of them are going to be back this year just because their teams are shit. There's no rush. There's no reason to bring them back. So if I had to roster one of these guys to stash, it sounds like Kyle Bradish is close. Maybe they see what they get in him. They're going to watch his innings, and same thing with Pablo, dude. So I'm not sure, dude. I think this is something that if you have an open IL spot and there's not really anybody else out on the wire that you can pick up and stash, I think one of these guys, if I had to pick, I'd go Bradish, but I don't feel good about it because I don't think Pablo Lopez throws again this year, but the Twins selling off their entire team, essentially. What's your take on Gunner's reduced power this year? Is this year more of an outlier or was last year the outlier? Good question, EA. Man, you're on fire with the questions, dude. I watch, obviously, a lot of O's games. They love throwing him away and breaking pitches where the ball runs away from him like a sweeper type pitch. And it looks like he hasn't adjusted well to the off speed. I think the delayed start to the season kind of screwed him up, and the O's just look deflated as a team. It's a very disappointing season for them. He's young. He'll figure it out. I think this year is the outlier. He hasn't been bad. He just had a really, really rough stretch. I still think he's going to finish as a top 50 player when it's all said and done. Yeah. Now, do I think he can be what we saw from him last year? I think the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle with Gunner. I think he's a superstar, but will we be drafting him in first rounds of drafts next year? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where he falls. Maybe late first, early second. We'll see. Ryan Weathers is throwing again. It might be a superstar stash for head-to-head playoffs. I love Ryan Weathers, dude. I was so high on him going into the season. I had a couple shares of him, and obviously when he got hurt, I dumped him. So Business says, I'm creeping up in the standings of the Mike Virginia League after spending most of the year in the basement with Mookie and Jordan as my first 2 picks. Late playoff run, baby. Dude, I've been bad in both my Mike Virginia Invitational leagues. One of them I'm clinging to a playoff spot. I believe I'm in 6th. The other, I've been kind of getting there, then I come falling back down, and this week is not looking good. So, but good for you, Bizza. Gunner been quietly locked in the past 2 weeks. Yep, that's true. I will always draft Gunner round 1. There you go. I will draft Gunner round 1 next year with butterflies in my stomach. Oh man, I hope we can see the old Gunner, the last year Gunner over this year's Gunner for sure. That would make me as an O's fan happy. Charles reposted the stream. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. If you guys are watching, please make sure and help us out here. Repost the stream. It helps with the algorithm and gets more viewers in here. It gets more likes, more subscriptions, or subscribes, and helps us out. So make sure you do that. EL Day, Mike, can you ever draft Jordan again after this year? I feel like he might be good value next year and season will deflate his draft stock. Yeah, dude. That's the thing Dave was talking about too, is like, you got to be able to turn the page here. I drafted Jordan in one league and it's been frustrating. I still don't think we're going to see him this year. I think he's out. It's the same shit over and over again. He's taking on the field batting practice. That's not an update. We've been hearing that for months now. And then he has a setback. So still hasn't been on. He's going to have to go on a rehab assignment. I think the earliest we're going to see him is probably late August, early September, when Dana Brown said we'd see him in mid-August. He's supposed to be playing right now in the next couple of days. That ain't happening. So, but yeah, I think his value will dip a little bit, kind of like Kyle Tucker, right? I know a lot of people were still drafting Tucker in the first round, the first couple of picks, but Jordan was more on the back end of that first round. I think that's probably where he slots. Maybe he falls a little bit, but if the hand is fully healed, then something I will pay attention to in the offseason, and also when I go into draft season, is I need to see he's fully recovered from that. And I don't think at any point this season we're going to see 100% Jordan Alvarez, which sucks. So for fantasy owners, Jordan isn't going on a rehab. When he's healthy, he'll play immediately. I doubt that, man. He's been out for so long. He's been out since May. I mean, June, July, and pretty much all of August. That's 3 months. It'd be interesting to see. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right. Are we expecting Aranda and Ryan Weathers and Ronaldo Lopez and Cole Reagan's back? Hi, Mike. What's up, dude? Ronda, maybe. Ryan Weathers, yes. Ronaldo Lopez, I'd be shocked. And Cole Reagan's, I'd be shocked. As the season progresses and these guys fall out of the race, I just don't see the need of rushing these guys back and getting to a point where, especially the pitchers, right? Like, the Marlins are still in it. They've been playing good baseball. Ronaldo Lopez, there's no reason for him to come back. Especially with the guys they went out and got at the deadline, just a bunch of old guys that can just throw some innings. They're out of their hunt with the playoffs. There's no point in rushing these guys back. Same thing with Cole Reagan's, which sucks too for fantasy. What's up with Tucker? That jammed hand's still an issue. I don't know, man. Him and Pete Armstrong have looked terrible for the Cubs. They'll get out of it though. I'm not worried about either one of those guys. I know Pete Armstrong, especially, his metrics do not look good. He's got strikes out a shit ton. He has to adjust if he wants to continue to climb the ladder of stardom here. He has to adjust because the league has adjusted him. Now he has to adjust back. And Kyle Tucker's one of those things where he's just going to have to get out of a funk. He's a vet. He'll get out of it. Romero blew another save. O'Brien is the guy. I'm not really 100% certain there's anybody who's the guy there in St. Louis. This is a bullpen I'm fading. I think Jojo Romero is still probably the guy who sees the bulk of the work there with saves. Leahy, O'Brien, I think they're going to mix and match, especially if Romero continues to falter. I don't think there's going to be one particular guy. So this is my personal take. Drop either Slade Ciccone or Eric Lauer for Jacob Alexander or Taijuan Walker. Nope. I would rather have Slade Ciccone and Eric Lauer. I don't want, especially Taijuan Walker. I don't want him or Jacob Alexander. I think what you got, Yui, is perfectly fine. Hunter Green with a gem tonight. What's the line there? I didn't see that. What's he doing? I don't have the game on. Let's see. Interest in Walker Jenkins. Dude, I love Walker Jenkins. He is my favorite prospect in baseball. In Dynasty, 100%. I don't know if he comes up this year. Maybe September call-ups, we might see him, but I doubt it. He's still pretty young, too. So, he's 20 years old. We might see him just as a get your beak wet type thing. But so far, I don't think much has changed for me. I think he's a top 10 prospect in all of baseball. I'd actually probably put him in my top 5 in terms of my favorites. So he's a stud. Love him. Let's see here. I traded Aranda 3 days later. He breaks his wrist. My luck. Yep. PCA or James Wood rest of the season. Give me James Wood. Ted says PCA all day. Woods hits Oppo crap. Oh, man, I love Oppo, dude. Miguel Cabrera was one of the best hitters in baseball because he could literally spray the ball wherever he wants and still hit nukes. I think that's James Wood. Not comparing him to Miguel Cabrera. I'm saying just his approach to hitting. He's been in a funk. Every hitter goes through it. it's something I can't stress enough here too. For those of you guys who are maybe newer to fantasy baseball, this isn't fantasy football where you expect Jamar Chase to go, for 100 and a touchdown every game. You're going to have guys go like this all season long, right? And if they don't, that's why they're first rounders as well. James Wood played like a first rounder. He's going through it right now. He'll bust out of it. Same thing with PCA. So Nick Hurts, it's Oppo dongs. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, too, that ballpark also plays a factor in that. EA all day. Wood hit an Oppo crap 118 mile per hour last night. Second fastest Oppo hit in StatCast air behind Giancarlo. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. EA. I love James Wood, dude. If he had continued his pace, we would be talking about drafting him in the first round next year. I think he's going to be a second round pick, though. But he needs to start hitting the ball a little bit better. Oppo home runs, you have to hit so much further than pulling baseballs. Of course, we all know that. Last time I won my league, Matt Kemp and Shane Victorino were my best hitters. That's a long time ago, dude. Matt Kemp and Shane Victorino? Wow. All right, what else you guys got? I got about 6 minutes here left. If you guys got questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'll keep staying on here as much as you guys keep throwing them my way. So, Max Muncy going for testing for his side tightness. Oof. Not good. Robbie, Canada Dry. You like that? You can't see it because it's blurred out. YouTube won't let me sponsor Canada Dry there, Robbie. How about Dylan Cruz? Yeah, I like him as a spec ad in some deeper leagues. Elite prospect talent, right? Number 2 overall draft pick. I think he's worth an ad if you play in some leagues where he's been dropped. He's gonna have to change his approach though. Good power speed combo guy, but he's been kind of up and down all season too. Blaze Alexander or Spencer Horwitz? Not really high on either one of these guys. If I had to pick, I'd go Blaze just because he's been hotter and hitting the ball hard, so hitting home runs. I don't expect that to continue all the rest of the season, though. Which Muncy? Max Muncy for the Dodgers, not Max Muncy for the A's. Max Muncy for the Dodgers, Anthony, was scratched today with side tightness. He's undergoing testing, which is not good. So I wouldn't not be surprised if he hit the IL again. And side tightness usually means like an oblique. So really hard to do that when you're swinging. Cade Cavalli's dope. Yeah, he'll be up and down all season. He's got good upside, though, for next year. Try the spicy Canada Dry. Yummy. I don't think I've had this spicy. They make a spicy one? What does it taste like? I don't think I've seen that. That sounds amazing, though. Robbie says, pick up Kyle Caros, third baseman, Colorado. He's arrived. There you go. Pick him up. Ted says, righty pass. Ted, explain it to me, dude. Why are you so in on lefties and not righties? I don't know if that's a sound approach to selecting players for your team, but do you, man? Do you like Jacob Marcy and Isaac Collins? Yeah, I talked about him earlier, Anthony. Both these guys. I like Jacob Marcy and Isaac Collins. Both have been super hot. Who knows if they can keep it up? I think they'll regress a little bit. If I had to pick one, it'd be Isaac Collins. I know that pisses off all the Jacob Marcy guys, but Isaac Collins hitting out of the 2-3 hole in that Milwaukee lineup that just continue to get it done. The hottest team in baseball. I want every piece of that Milwaukee lineup, especially at the top of that order. Him and Sal Frelick. I would rather take Sal Frelick over Jacob Marcy. You heard it here first, folks. Jacob Marcy's been good. I think he'll sit against some lefties, though. That's just me. Wife is on a work trip in LA and gets to see Ohtani pitch tonight. Crazy jealous. That'll be fun. Good for her. Tell her to send some videos. Bite to it. Okay, cool. I'll have to try it out, man. I don't know how I feel about spicy drinks, especially soda, but we'll see. I'm sick, Robbie, too. So that's why I'm drinking this. I got a really, really bad head cold. It just will not go away. It's been kicking my ass all week. All right, Ted's explaining here. 73% of pitchers are a right-hander. The platoon advantage for lefties, 38% higher than righties who are lefties, which are way less of. Going deep into the well there on that answer. I like that. Coming with some stats. Love it. Last night on your football show, I was going to say you finally right about Judge, and when wait, what? I was going to say you were finally right about Judge, and when I was about to send, he hit a home run. Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's how it goes. The spice you usually around the holidays, give it a try. I will, man. Maybe that'll go with some bourbon or something like that. That might be good, actually. Maybe like a rye whiskey or something like that. That actually might be pretty good, now that I think about it. Have a good weekend, brother. Thanks for the chats. Yeah, absolutely, Yale Day. No need to explain yourself. Mike Canada Dry's the champagne of ales. Oh, I love it so much. Not spicy, but has spice to it. Got it. Okay. Sorry. There's a reason lefties are. Oops, sorry. There's a reason why lefties are strong side and righties are on short side. Okay. Hanks Yanks over the last 30 days. Augustine Ramirez batting .219 with a cool 11 RBIs, or Drake Baldwin. It's hard to argue what Drake Baldwin's doing, man. But Augustine Ramirez plays every day. I don't know if Baldwin does or not. I don't have any shares of Baldwin. Augustine Ramirez does this though, right? He runs hot, he runs cold, and I promise you Drake Baldwin will be no different. He's not playing today. He's not in the lineup, Drake Baldwin. He was in the lineup yesterday, and the game before that, he was out of the lineup. So he's sat now 2 out of the last 3 games. So do with that what you will, Hank. The problem that Drake Baldwin will run into is that he sits sometimes versus Augustine Ramirez, who's going to have more volume. So give me Augustine Ramirez here in hopes that he breaks out of it. Better holds. Add Weaver, Henriquez, or Whitlock. Give me Weaver. Sagamore Rye, Mike, if you hadn't had it before, get on it. I will definitely get on that. I'm not a big rye guy, dude. But I do love me a good bourbon. I got a whole bar cart full of it right out here. Ooh, Robbie says the most viral video I had last year was Ohtani home run in Detroit. Make sure your wife records it, strikeout, and post it to X. Was that the game that you were at with Gove, Robbie? I can't remember. Or was that the Colt Keith one? I think Colt Keith walked it off, if I'm not mistaken, that game that you guys were at. Does Travis Benzana get a cup of coffee in September? He's been hurt. Robbie would know better than I would. He's our prospects guru. Make sure you guys follow Robbie at Robbie Baseball. And make sure you guys tune in on Mondays for the Prospect Power Hour. They talk prospects the whole show, and it's fun. So make sure you guys check that out. But Robbie, let us know what you think. Do we see Travis Benzana in the majors this year in September? Drake Baldwin doesn't simply go cold. Well, I mean, he also does sit a lot too. So catcher talk, boo. Ramirez could help you win. Baldwin might help you avoid losing. There you go. Well said. More catcher talk. Herrera, Goodman, Augustine. Who will be better in Dynasty? Ooh, this is a good question. Give me Augustine Ramirez, but Hunter Goodman's right there. Same thing with Herrera. Awesome show. Thanks. Appreciate it, Charles. Rice fills when he doesn't start. Rice. Who are we talking about? Sorry. Yuri killing me these last 2 starts. May have to drop for Horton in redraft. He's given up 4 so far tonight. Yuri Perez has given up 4. I'd be interested. I was very interested to see what Cade Horton did tonight. I'm going to check that right now. So he's through 4. Hasn't given up any runs. 1 walk, 5 Ks. Cade Horton looks like he's turned in the corner, man. It'd be hard for me to sit Yuri Perez or drop him though. He's got 7 Ks, no walks. I think the Ks will still be there. You know, the thing with with Yuri is they're going to shut him down at some point. So I actually may not mind this move, but hard to do that right now with how good he's been in the second half there. Yeah, it was the same game. Okay, gotcha. Got it. That's what I thought. Old Forester 1910 is the way. I've had it myself there, Yui. I don't have that bottle in my collection, but big Buffalo Trace guy. I got a lot of Buffalo Trace bottles in my collection. Let's see. Is there anything for Avila and AL only holds? I don't play in holds leagues, dude. Actually, I play in one holds league, and I don't have much of an opinion here. Sorry. Herrera's going to lose catcher designation next year. Yeah, that's right. He could. If he doesn't continue to catch, he will. Let's see. Great stream. Thank you, Uncle Ted. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we're at 45 minutes left. If you guys haven't checked out, make sure and you guys play fantasy football, make sure you guys go check out the over-under show that Gove and I did 3 years in a row now that we've done that show. It's very entertaining. Robbie says, my magic 8-ball says Benzana doesn't debut. Cleveland has taken their foot off the gas. I would tend to agree here. No need to rush him up, especially with him being drafted year before. I think it was last year. Yeah. There's no need to rush him up there. So I agree with that. But it would, as a baseball fan, it would be cool to see him up with Cleveland. But he's been injured too, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was side tightness or like oblique or something like that. I think they'll probably be careful with him as well. All right, guys, 45 minutes in. Thank you all for the great questions. I appreciate it. As always, make sure you hit us up on Twitter. I'm at _MikeVA. You can hit up Govier at MJGovier, at Britton Allen, 2 T's, 2 L's, at Big Gentle Ben on Twitter, at Robbie Baseball on Twitter. So make sure you guys check us out, get in the Discord. If you haven't done so already and you're watching this show, we have 270 people watching me, which is crazy. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate it. We do shows Mondays, Fridays, and Sundays. Fantasy football is right around the corner. So if you're watching this and you're like, boo, fantasy baseball, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll talk some fantasy football stuff coming up here really shortly. So Anthony says, thank you. Feel better. Appreciate you, dude. I'm just really congested up in this shit right here. So I need to take some Z-Quil or NyQuil, whatever the hell you call it, and go to bed. So, for those of you guys, one more announcement. Sunday will be my last show of the fantasy baseball season, as my wife and I are expecting our second child next Thursday in the morning. So I might pop in here and there on Twitter to answer some questions, but I wish you guys the best of luck for the rest of the season. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Love talking baseball, even if we disagree. I think that's what makes sports fun. I don't ever take any of this stuff personally either when we disagree. So I know some people have bold takes, hot takes, cold takes, whatever it may be. I'm wrong. I'm right. You guys are wrong. Right. It's fun. So it makes sports great. It's kind of like water cooler talk, and fantasy baseball is no different. So thank you guys very much. Everybody saying congrats in the live chat. Thank you guys very much. I will catch up with you guys on Friday. Make sure you guys tune in. We're going to be on there Friday night, 7:00 Eastern, myself, Britton, and Govier. And anybody else who wants to join in. And we expect all of you guys in the live chat to be there as well. Thank you guys very much for the great questions. Hit me up on Twitter if you got more. Peace.